two, three. This time of day, everything's okay. I take a long look around, I have to say.
Hello, welcome to Your Friends and Neighbors. My name is Willie Jones. If you've been watching us, I hope you've been enjoying the conversations I have with many of our community members here in Bennington and the surrounding communities. I have a guest today who has been here quite a few times, and I usually mess up his introduction, but I think I'm going to say it correctly today. My guest today is Eric Peterson, who is the producing artistic director at Oldcastle Theater. And so, hello to Eric Peterson.
It's always good to be back with you, Willie. Thank you for inviting me.
I said it right.
You did.
I did
You
it.
did.
I wrote right down here, P-A-D, PAD. So I
Pad,
would make
yes.
sure I had it right. Well, one of the things we will certainly be talking about is the new season coming up with. I'm kind of excited about this season. It sounds really, really cool. But I do want to talk a little bit about, first, Tim Howard, who did Cabaret and My Fair Lady. He was the music director for those
Pump
two
Boys
shows.
and Dinettes, a whole bunch of shows.
He's done a lot of shows at Oldcastle, but he just won this wonderful award for a show he directed, Parade.
Which I saw.
I know how did you get?
It was
to
a
see
wonderful. Well, it was a wonderful production, and I went to it. Tim teaches at Western Connecticut University, and they did a production of Parade, the Jason Roberts Brown musical.
Okay.
And it was in. It was one of the shows in the college. I'll get it right here in a minute. Anyway, a college festival.
Yeah, it says there was a
The
bunch
Kennedy
of letters.
the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, okay.
Has a festival, and they send adjudicators, and it turned out it won Best Musical. Tim won Best Director, and one of the actors won Best
actors,
Actor.
and then some of the other. Yeah.
And I was very impressed with it. It was a wonderful production, and interestingly, Tim is going to direct our musical.
Right. We'll talk
this
about
summer.
that. Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get to that.
And
yeah,
while we're talking about, I don't know if you're going to bring up Carl and Cheryl.
Carl and Cheryl.
Carl Sprague, who has been set designer for Oldcastle for about 30 years now, which scares me to say that. It's been a long time. He is now designing Woody Allen's new Amazon television series.
Oh, with Miley Cyrus.
With Elaine, I think with Elaine May. You can have
Oh, no,
Miley
I don't
Cyrus,
want Elaine
but
May.
Elaine May,
Who else?
and Woody Allen is in it, and Carl is designing it, and Cheryl Howard is doing a one-woman show at 2 theaters in South Carolina right now, playing.
Josephine Baker?
No, she's done a Josephine Baker
Yeah,
show.
but she didn't do it here.
Nora Heel Thurston.
Oh, okay.
Who was a writer.
Right.
And Cheryl will also be back with us this season.
Oh, wow.
So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
It's always wonderful. Our actors, people who work with Oldcastle are working all over the country, sometimes all over the world, all of the time. Nigel Gore is in a show in New York that's opening soon. He and Tina Packer have been touring with Women of Will, and Nigel's going to be back with us this year. Bill Tatum and Karen Ziemba, who are great talents and have worked with us much. They were at Frost Warnings that we did recently.
I saw them. I was excited. I didn't think they'd be. I didn't know
They
they were
drove
gonna
up
be there.
from New York to see it, and one of the reasons was Bill had just done a piece in which he
I
had
know
played
it.
Robert Frost.
First,
So
I
it
was
was
going to
really
say, oh, they're
interesting
coming
to
this
see it.
season. Okay. Yeah, no, I was surprised. I turned around. Bill, of course, I always kid around with him saying that he's my matinee idol because of that hair and everything. And then I looked, I thought, oh my God, there's Karen too. His wife, Karen Ziemba, Tony winner for
That's
Contact.
her middle name, Karen
Yeah.
Tony Winner
I know,
Ziemba.
that's
Yes.
anybody if you won an award. Yeah, right.
She's been
right.
nominated 4 times.
Yeah, that was exciting. Yes, I enjoyed, just to talk about Frost Warnings a little bit. Frost Warnings. Yes. Talking with some people afterwards, I won't say who, but one woman said to me, I didn't realize he was such a bastard. I had no idea. And then another woman said, yes, he was always impregnating that poor woman. So, I mean, he doesn't come off as a shining knight in armor.
Well, He had a public image as a kindly,
that's
grandfatherly
what I
type, and
thought
the
all my
wonderful
life.
white hair, and stopping by woods on a snowy evening. And that was certainly a part of him.
Yeah.
But like all of us, he was more multi-layered
He was a little dark,
than that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there was more than one side to him. A very interesting man, and of course an extraordinary poet.
Yeah, and it was so nice to see Daryl Kenny. She hadn't
great to
been
see
on
her
a
on
stage at
stage.
Oldcastle for quite a while. And another person to talk about is Chris Decker, who we'll talk about a little bit from last season. I know Chris, I don't know when her next showcase is going to be with her adult acting
Coming
class.
up in April.
In April sometime. Hopefully it'll be, this show will supposedly start on April 11th. So there's a lot of stuff going on that we cannot talk about because it'll all be
We're
old
taping
news.
this in 1994.
Yeah, 1990,
just so
okay. Did you say 90 or 80?
94.
Oh, 94, because the musical came out in 84. Yeah, Chris Decker, she has a drama class with or acting class with anybody from, I guess, from 16 up or whatever. She's had some people in their 80s or close
Yes.
to. And she also is directing The Glass Menagerie. Is that going to be over before we... Do you know the dates of that at MAU?
That'll still be, the last couple of performances will be after this is on.
Okay, good. She's
And that's
directing
the Mount
that.
Anthony Union High School production, and that's going to be at Oldcastle Theater.
Okay. Oh, great. And I know that before this gets on, I know she's directing a one act up at Dorset for their one act
She's
festival
been working with
too.
one of the actresses, but I,
mean,
don't think she's directing
just,
it.
it must be the, oh yes, I bet I know who it is too. So anyways, that's, sadly we can't talk about that. There was a fundraiser we can't talk about. But Chris is like a godsend to Oldcastle. She
has worked with Oldcastle since 1973.
But she's really working at Oldcastle now.
Yes.
She's doing
She is.
everything.
She is.
She'll even scrub out the toilet. She will
She
do
does. She cleans
anything.
sometimes.
She
Erica
is
does
amazing.
that. They're great.
And she's just as sweet as can be. I mean, she's a really, really nice lady, and she's very, very busy. I'll see, what else? Was there anything else? For the winter series, now, the last one that I know of is April 10th, which is the day before this will be on the air. Is there anything else coming up before the season starts that we should know about?
We have a Painted Swirl that will be at the
that's
Knights
the
of Columbus.
7th.
That will be gone.
And the Belle of Amherst, that's
and
no
the Belle
good.
of Amherst will be gone. I hope you saw the Belle of Amherst.
I hope so.
It was wonderful.
Paula Mann was
Paula Mann
unbelievable.
we've
Right.
been working on that for a while, and that's sort of a joint production with Green Mountain College,
Right.
which is fun because she teaches there and I have
teaches,
taught there. We're beginning. By the time this airs, we will be gearing up pretty much for the season,
Okay.
the theater season.
So Gypsy Lane was once again a success this year. It's really fun, since I've started on Facebook, which is really killing me.
Killing you are on it a lot, I think.
I am, Eric.
You
I
send a lot of stuff out
cannot-
there.
I can't help
If you're
it.
a friend of Willie's, you get
I
all
am,
kinds
and
of
people
things.
say, oh, love all the stuff you send. We don't necessarily understand all of it. We don't know. Some of it's a little racy, some whatever. But I am loving it. But thanks to Facebook, I've really gotten to know Nicole Rizzo, the director, a little better, and Justin
You had her
Green.
on your show.
Yeah, I did her. I didn't do her, but I had her on the show. Jonathan Ambar,
It's
who is
burlesque,
Mike
but let's be careful
Monaco.
here.
Justin Green, and Jade Roy, who is Cosmic Candy. So it's been fun. I hope they come back for another year. They're a really good, nice group of people, and they love working at Oldcastle. They think that everybody is so accommodating. They said, we actually have a men's and a women's
Dressing
room
room.
that we can change it. It's unbelievable. They do that for us. So, all right, before we talk about the new season, though, let's go back to last season. I cannot remember what the very first show was. It wasn't Tally. That was 2 years ago.
Tally's
right?
Folly.
It was Tally's. Okay, now Tally's was a 2-character play. Really, actually, I thought last season,
That was a joint
wonderful.
production with our partners in New Jersey, the Bickford Theater and Playwrights Theater of New
and
Jersey.
you're not doing that this year with them, are you?
No.
No. That was a wonderful production. And then Time Stands Still.
I
Now,
love
Tally's
that
Folly has been around for a long time.
Won a Pulitzer.
Did Time Stand Still, has that gone on to any place else?
Oh yes, that's been
It's
done.
all over the-
That's been
okay.
done.
It's
It was
such-
done in New York and moved to Broadway. Was done there in a regional theater, and Donald Margulies wrote it, who is one of the best current American playwrights. I'm looking at one of his plays possibly for next season. And it's a remarkable play. It's about a photographer. I don't know why I'm pushing this now because it was a year ago.
It
but
was a good
it's
show.
about a
More people
photographer
should
who
have
worked
seen
in Afghanistan and Iraq. It's based on a real photographer and was in she's badly wounded covering the war. And it's about her recovery and how it affects her relationship and how it affects her career. It's just a remarkable piece of writing, and the acting was extraordinary.
And I just said, and there should have been more people seeing it, but actually last year attendance was up.
25%. We were really pleased.
That
Yes.
was wonderful.
Yes.
It's finally taking hold that
It's
you're
taken
on
a while.
Main Street.
It took a while for people to find us
Right.
again, particularly our audience in the Berkshires and New York
Right,
State.
right. It's like, oh, they disappeared. Where'd they go to? Right.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
too
we
bad.
did disappear for a while.
Yeah, and then of course Cabaret,
Did very well.
unbelievable performances. Ralph Hammond, who used to be a critic for the Advocate and other places, he said it was the best cabaret he'd ever seen. He walked out on the Alan Cumming one in New York.
Which I thought was quite good.
He thought
I would not have walked out
He
on
thought Rick really captured that character, and he was really
that.
moved.
Rick was very good.
Yeah, everybody was
was a
good.
wonderful
Everybody was good. Wynn and everybody was great.
Wynn
And I was really surprised.
Christine
Amanda
was very good in
Garcia.
that. Amanda was
Now
good.
she's in. Here we'll talk about Amanda Garcia, who graduated from MAU. She's in New York. Paul Volkmer is in New York. Justin Spencer is in New York.
All took the theater arts class at CDC, by the way.
That's right. That's right. And I don't know. I'm sure they're out there trying to find acting jobs and stuff. I know they got to support themselves for now. But yeah, a bunch of them took off for New York, and there they are. And then black comedy, one of the funniest
Very funny
plays
play.
around. Jim, what's his last name?
Stop.
That guy.
Jim Stout.
He's like he's made of dough.
He did this wonderful thing, falling down the stairs and flipping over. And
Right,
he's-
which isn't in the script.
No.
No,
No.
it was just
But-
something. Is that something he
but
wanted to do? Or?
His ability as really a stage athlete is one of the reasons we hired him for that, because we knew he'd be able to do a lot of that kind of stuff, and he's very good at it.
I just think about all the stuff I used to
And
do
only
in
was
college.
hurt once, I think.
I used to do stuff in college that, climbing ropes and ladders and jumping around and dancing in splits and all this kind of stuff. And I think, I can't do that anymore. But it was very, very funny. And then, of course,
Well, that was 8 or 10 years ago.
yeah, more than that. And then the last show of the year of the season was Lion in Winter. I hear more people talk about how good that show was. I mean, Chris and Nigel, everybody, that cast
Nigel
was
Gore,
wonderful.
Elizabeth Aspin leader. It was an extraordinary cast, and it's a wonderful play. And we did it in the round. It was the first time in the new theater. It's not, I guess we probably should stop calling it the new theater.
I
We've
know
been
it.
there
I
for
know
3
it.
years.
Well, it's like
but it was the first time in the
new
round.
Route 7, the new road.
Yes,
we still call it.
it'll always be.
The new road.
And we had a spectacular time doing that show.
It was wonderful. And Ken Mooney did a wonderful job because you did do it in the round, and really you just felt engulfed by the set. You really felt you were in that castle.
Yes.
It was wonderful. It was
It
wonderful.
was great working on it.
Yeah, it really was.
Loved that show.
Let's see, was there anything I wanted to get into before we got on to... All right, so let's talk about what's coming up. This year is 45 years.
45th season.
5 more years, it'll be 50. Wow. Half a century.
Okay, that's enough.
I know, but half a century. I mean, 45 years still around. There should be a big celebration, although I guess have to wait for the big one in 5 more years. But so again, you'll be doing 5 plays.
5.
And the first show, now I've heard a lot about this show. I've never seen it.
You must have seen the film it was based
I saw
on.
the film years ago. Who is it? Robert
Donut.
and who was the woman? Oh, I can't remember now. But yeah. But the thing about this,
The play is called 39 Steps.
oh right, yeah.
And it's based on a novel, which then became an Alfred Hitchcock film, and is now a play. 4 actors play 40-some roles, and it's been called Hitchcock Meets Monty Python. It's very much a farce. And what's fascinating, if you know the film well, much of the dialogue is exactly the same. But it's just played in a very different way. if you saw, a few years ago we did Around the World in 80 Days
Right.
with 5 actors.
Right.
4 of them are also coming back now to do 39 Steps.
Oh, okay. Oh, well.
Richard Howe and Natalie Wilder, Peter Langstaff, and Patrick Ellison Shea.
And Patrick
and
Shea.
3 of them did all of the Dickens
Right,
shows that we
right.
did, which also were actors playing lots and lots of different roles.
And Patrick Shea and Natalie Wilder are husband and wife.
Yes, they met
they
working
are
at
partners
Oldcastle.
working at
One of our
Oldcastle.
many couples.
Right. So, and Peter Langstaff, who hails from Dorset, and
Peter was in Black Comedy and Cabaret last year, and also he and Christine and I went out to Ohio to do the Grandma Moses play, Grandma Moses in American Primitive, which we had done here 2 years ago, and we had a great run at the Dayton Art Institute. They had a spectacular, really spectacular Grandma Moses retrospective there. And Peter played a number of roles. He played all the men in Grandma Moses' life in that show.
yeah, that was a wonderful. I forgot to talk about that. That was a wonderful. God, that was a wonderful show. Again,
So 39
Christine
Steps
Decker.
is very funny. If you like to laugh, it's a good show to bring kids. There's quite a bit of physical comedy. It's a great. We think it's a really spectacular, fun way to begin a season.
Now,
Opens in June.
did I see on Facebook that Patrick and Natalie have done it before?
Yes.
Have they done it before?
They
Oh.
have done it before.
Oh, so they
in
will.
fact, I
so
think
Rick and Peter, they can
I think
all. Oh,
Natalie's done it twice,
Oh,
and Patrick
okay.
has done it once, but don't
Oh,
hold me
there.
to that.
oh.
And that will be directed by Nathan Stith, who is
Who just?
very talented actor, director, who's been got his MFA and has been working in Colorado. Is another Oldcastle couple. He met his wife, Sarah Grabowski Stith, who was a Bennington native. She was a stage manager for us. They met at Oldcastle, got married, have 2 gorgeous kids now. And Nathan just got a job teaching at a university in Texas, where he's going to teach theater. And the plan now is he will be spending the academic year, they will be spending the academic year in Texas, and then they're going to come to Vermont and work with us in the summer.
Oh, that's great.
So we're
Nathan,
excited about that.
Nathan blew me away in Forever Plaid, and I loved working with him.
He
in,
sings
The
really
Man Who
well.
Came to
He's a
Dinner,
very good
too.
actor.
He's
Man Who
very,
Came to Dinner, he
very
was in,
funny.
right?
He's
With-
very funny, very funny. On Facebook, I said a little thing to him saying, "Congrats! I hear there's a whorehouse in Texas," and I said, "And the good thing is, it's the best." So, if anyone knows that show, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, I love that show. I think it's really funny. I love the title too. My sister-in-law's little boy used to say, "Can we listen to that best little horse house in Texas?" He always thought it was the horse house. He thought it was all about horses, and so that I think would be a lot of fun. And you said kids. Kids will enjoy
it's a good show for kids.
So, but now, how old are we talking when you say kids? We're not talking 3 or 4 years old.
No.
What, 12 up
No.
or
I
even
would think kids
10,
9 and 10 would like
yeah,
that show.
yeah.
I always
Well, as you
base
said,
it on
anything
my
with physical-
grandsons, but they've
Right. Well,
They've
and
seen quite a
they're
bit.
so used. They've been around theater so
Yes.
much too.
Yes.
So, oh, that's right. We did the Christmas show this
They were
year
both in
too,
it.
and both they were
both
both
in it.
involved in it. It was
got to
very
get them into
cute.
the family business.
That's
you know,
right.
it's
That's
time.
right. Yes,
It's
I was just
time.
talking to their aunt up at Brown Cow today. So they're lovely, lovely families around there. And then you've got a big musical coming up.
I
It's
love
so-
this musical. I have loved this musical since I first saw it on Broadway. This is spectacular music, and anybody who's seen it, it's called Big River. The music and lyrics are by Roger Miller, yes, the king of the road. It's the only Broadway show he ever wrote. Karen Ziemba, who they were at the show we were talking about, she said when we were talking about Big River, and she said, "Oh, I just love the music in that show."
My wife did too.
It's
yeah.
varied, it's funny, it's charming, it's very touching, some of the songs. He wrote very clever lyrics, and it's the Huck Finn show, it's the Huck Finn story.
Right.
So you've got Mark Twain with America's greatest novel, spectacular music and lyrics, a very well-written book by William Hauptman, adapted from Huck Finn, and we're very excited about it. Tim Howard, who we spoke about before, is directing it this year. He's been our musical director many times. He's also acted with us. This is the first time he'll direct with us. I'm very excited. The musical director, will be John Foley, who has acted with us and is one of the creators of Pump Boys and Dinettes. And it'll be great to have John back. And so we're really looking forward to that. And that is a great show to bring kids to.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think 9, 10, and up. I think teenagers would love the
too bad
show.
it's not during the
Country
school
music
year.
fans would love this show. If you don't like much musical comedy or musical theater music, but you do like country music or folk music,
Right.
you will like Big River.
Now, John Foley, I believe his wife is a children's author. Is that am I right?
No.
No. Somebody from,
You're thinking of somebody. You're thinking of
there's somebody
the-
from Smokes and Mirrors.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, it's funny. This came out in 1984, and when it first started, it was at the Capitol Rep in Cambridge, Mass, and Tony Shalhoub was in it.
Yes.
I was shocked when I saw that, and then it continued at the La Jolla Playhouse in California with Melanie Chartoff, who I know, John Goodman, which really surprised
He
me.
was in the original Broadway cast. I saw
Yeah,
him.
I see that. Yeah, I see that too.
He
And then
played Pappy.
and Dee Hoty, who I saw in the Will Rogers
Hody's
Follies.
a very good actress.
And Renee Auberjonois was on Broadway with the first time it was on Broadway. Susan Browning, who was in Company. I mean, yeah, there's quite a few people that have. I don't know. We know who they are.
John
well, you
Goodman.
should know John Goodman. Everybody
John
should know
Goodman, great television star, one of the Blues Brothers at times.
Yeah,
and
I didn't know he was a
Roxanne-
singer.
What was
Well, of course you
what was
should.
this TV series?
Roseanne.
Roseanne. Thank you. And he sang a very funny song called "Dad Gum Government,"
Yeah, there's a photo of
In
him
that show.
in this.
and he was marvelous in the
There used to
original
be
production.
a club called the Fireside Sign.
Fireside.
Fireside
Sign
Club.
were the
that
comedians.
was the comedy group. All right, and they were responsible for you could join the club for you could buy 4 for $1, and then once a month they'd let you know you could get another new play, and it was
I got
really
everything from them.
it was a really fun. Yeah, I might have 20 or 25, but it was a fun way to get to know a Broadway show, and I didn't get many musicals. I know I have cabaret, but got a lot of comedies and some of the dramas. So it's too bad this isn't going to be during the school year. Get the schools to come see Big River. God, oh well.
Well, I think because we have it in July, we'll have a lot of families come. I hope so.
I
Because
hope
it's,
so,
as I
too.
said, it's a wonderful. Those first 2 shows are really good shows to introduce.
Yeah.
People of any age really to theater.
Right.
If you haven't seen a lot of theater, you'll like 39 Steps and Big River, I think, because they're funny and entertaining, and you will go out humming the music from Big River, certainly. And it's a great story. It's also a great way to introduce people to America's greatest novel, Huckleberry
Right,
Finn.
right. I swore I would never read that book again because in college, my professor, he just ruined the book for us. I mean, it was just because you had to spend so much time tearing it apart. You know, the symbolism, the allegory, the blah, 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 and the river is this and the blah, blah is that. And after a while, you said, I just want to enjoy this wonderful story. I don't, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. Maybe I'll read Huckleberry Finn again. I haven't read that in a long time.
It's worth reading.
You know, I was talking
again and again and again.
Ida Fiala, the artistic director for L'Ensemble. Her show was on just before this one, and we were talking how to get more students out to plays. How do you do it? Because when I went to see her first concert this season, it was French composers, and I was with Ellen Varick, and Ellen said, I want to sit over on the left side so I can see the piano player. I want to see his fingers. I said, okay, we'll go to the left, because I usually like to be in the center, but we went over to the left. It was amazing watching him, but the violinist, first violin, Dale Stuckenbrook, I think I said that right, watching him was amazing. Of course, I kept thinking he was going to fall off his chair because he was right on the edge of his chair. Right on the edge. But it was so exciting. I don't listen to a lot of classical music, and Ida knows that. But that day, it felt so wonderful listening and just watching. And the piano player, I love watching Lincoln Mayorga too. He's wonderful.
The musicians she gets are extraordinarily
Unbelievable.
talented.
And this concert that,
And they're all working lots of other places. One of the
Right.
fellows had to hurry back to Philadelphia because he had a gig the next day. And,
a lot of them play for the Broadway
many
shows.
Many of them are playing for
They
Broadway
play in the pit and
orchestras,
stuff,
and they play
yeah.
for the Philharmonic,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
lots of classical organizations.
And her second show this year had some wonderful musicians too. And my God, it was such a wonderful concert because Sheldon Harnick, his music, his lyrics, anyways, for
And Dorothy
Fiddle on the
Fields.
Roof and She Loves Me, which two big revivals.
Aren't you sorry you
in New
missed
York?
this?
Yeah, you're going to be sorry you missed it, folks. and Dorothy Fields. The songs that this woman wrote, I'm in the mood
She's
for
really
love.
the only female part of the Great American Songbook. She was.
Is she the only one?
It was a very male-dominated musical theater at that point. Rodgers and Hammerstein and
4 Oscars.
Larry Hart and Irving Berlin and Cole Porter and on and on and on and on. Lerner and Lowe, Sheldon Harnick, but she was the well. I got to meet her a few times. She was working when she was working on her last show. I'm pretty sure it was her last show, Seesaw, which was a musical version of Two for the Seesaw, which
One of
I
my
saw a few
all-time
times.
favorites.
She was
Love
a
that song.
lovely person and
And she did
quite
Sweet
elderly
Charity.
at that point.
And Sweet Charity too.
Yeah,
Cy
she was-
Coleman or something.
Cy Coleman, yes.
Yeah. But we were talking about how do we get kids out to to the theater and to
we
listen
have-
to this wonderful music?
L'Ensemble doesn't, but we have student tickets.
Oh yeah, I
and,
do. Well,
and
no,
do everything
L'Ensemble,
we
the
can.
$10 for
That's
students.
right. And we do everything we can to get them out, and more of them are coming. We hope more
I
and more
know.
will come
I
this
hope so.
year.
I just said, as far as I'm concerned, charge them $5 if they'll come to the show. I just want them to hear the music.
Exactly.
So yeah, $10. I think it's going to be. I think that was 25 and 10. But we don't have anything else coming up in the off season. And then City of Conversation. Sounds like a drama to me.
Very interesting play. It's a political year, you may have noticed. And this is set in Washington, D.C. And there is a character, I'm pretty sure, loosely based on Pamela Churchill Harriman, who was married to Leland Hayward at one point. She was married to Winston Churchill's son at one point. She was married to Averell Harriman later in her life. And he was a former governor of New York. He was an ambassador to to Russia. He was a very important figure in foreign policy in a number of Democratic administrations. And she had a salon in Washington in which she would get Republicans and Democrats together. And this is a play about that kind of a woman. And it takes place over a period of about 30 years, from 1979 to the inauguration of Barack Obama, and how that period, how politics changed, her family changed, how the changes in her family affected the political atmosphere, and how the political temperature affected her family. It's both a family, a play about a very much an American family, and about American politics, and about how people can and should work together and what happens when they don't. It's a really fascinating play. It was done at Lincoln Center 2 years ago. It's by a writer named Anthony Giardina, who's written a number of plays. I have been reading some of his short stories. He's also a novelist and a short story writer. Very interesting writer, and it got some of the best reviews that any play got in New York a couple of years ago when it first opened. It's being done around the country, but we're one of the first regional theaters to do it, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm very much looking forward to that. It's a fascinating play, and I think a really interesting way to look back on what politics, statesmanship used to be like in the United States, and how it's changed. And I think most of us would agree it hasn't changed for the better.
No.
Without getting into
Yeah,
all
we won't
that's
get
going
into-
on politically. But it's
What would you say in one sentence about what's going on?
it's a mess.
Okay, it's a mess.
It's a mess.
Yeah, it's scary. It's a
That's
scary
the
mess.
technical political term. The political scientists will
scary mess.
recognize
I
that
just,
term.
I am not a political person at all, But I've been finding myself watching the debates and thinking, oh my God, it's like watching a train wreck.
When they're talking not
why
about
am
foreign
I
policy,
watching
but
this?
hand size,
No.
you know we're in deep,
I
deep
know.
trouble.
It's awful.
Deep
It's
trouble.
awful. It's
Deep
awful.
trouble.
Now,
There are good choices out there, though.
yeah, there are a few, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Now, somebody was saying to me today, I think Anderson Cooper should be president of the United States. I said, yeah, he might just want that position. I don't think he
I don't
would want
think
it.
so.
I don't think he
so.
would. But now the title of this fourth show, The Consul, the Tramp, and America's Sweetheart. Now, Mary Pickford was America's sweetheart.
Yes.
Charlie Chaplin was the tramp. Now, who's the consul?
This is a play. First of all, it's a premiere. It's the third
Hey.
premiere of John Morgiello's that we have presented. The first one, Engaging Shaw, has now been done not only all around the country, but all around the world. Had a great production in Vienna. And this play, although we're doing the premiere of the play, it has already won 2 play contests, one of which I was an adjudicator for in Ohio,
Oh, okay. Oh.
the Dayton Future Fest, and also the Julie Harris Playwriting Award. It is a play about Charles Chaplin's film, The Great Dictator. And that was a production of United Artists. United Artists was a film company that was started by Charles Chaplin, Mary Pickford, who had been a great silent screen star, and Douglas Fairbanks Sr.
Who was her
and
husband
D.W.
at one
Griffith.
point?
They were married at one point to each other. And a German consul comes to Mary Pickford and says that the German government has discovered that Mr. Chaplin is working on this new film that satirizes Hitler, and tells her that if they go ahead and produce it, they will not allow the play, the film, to be shown in Germany. And at the time, Germany was the second largest European market for American films. So it would have been a huge financial difficulty.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's sort of the crux of it's a comedy, and it includes, and I'm really excited about this, because there are 3 segments on stage in the play directly from Chaplin films, including, if you've seen The Great Dictator, there's a wonderful
yeah.
scene.
Oh, there's that one-
Chaplin plays a Hitler-like character, same little mustache, looks a lot like him, and he has the world in his hands. It's a balloon,
Right.
and he plays with the balloon, and
Right,
it's
right.
really W.C. Fields once said Chaplin isn't a comedian, he's a GD ballet dancer. And of course he was both, and a genius to go along with it. But it's a fun play. It's an interesting play. The history is fascinating. If you're a film buff the way I am, there's lots there. If you're a World War II buff, there's lots there. It's based on facts. And if you just want a good, really riveting story that has some wonderful humor in it, The Consul, the Tramp, and America's Sweetheart is for you.
Yeah, Alex Kershaw, you should come and see this. You're probably not watching this, but I want to get him back on. Well, I never had him on here, but on the radio. I was one of the few people that were lucky enough to see, I thought, the musical Chaplin.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. It only played for maybe 3 months at the most.
I'll tell you an interesting story. I've had a number of meetings with a New York producer who was interested in this play. And one of her major worries is there have been 2 Chaplin musicals that died in New York. And the Chaplin film, which I thought was quite good with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, he was
and
wonderful.
Wasn't he nominated for an
Yeah.
Academy
Oh,
Award
yeah,
for
he
that?
was nominated.
And that didn't do well at the box office.
I
And I
don't
don't
understand.
know why, because Chaplin was a fascinating character. I didn't see the musicals.
Yeah, I want to.
but I know
need
you
to
like
read.
them.
I need to read a good book about Chaplin.
He
But
wrote 2 autobiographies that are
they
quite
made
good.
it sound in the musical. It sounded like Hedda Hopper was really the biggest problem. She was the one that started all this gossip and everything
did you see
about Charlie
Trumbo?
Chaplin. I haven't seen
In
Trumbo yet.
Trumbo, we have a very good film about Dalton
Helen
Trumbo,
Mirren.
the screenwriter who was blacklisted. They use her as a composite, but she's the villain.
Yeah, well, she was.
Trumbo.
She certainly was in the musical too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
very politically.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, it sounds a little serious, but
It's serious, but it has wonderful humor in it. There's a young character in it who is a young woman who is working as an assistant to Mary Pickford, and much of the humor comes from that character. We have a cast I'm very excited about. The German consul is going to be played by Paul Romero,
okay.
who was in Other People's Money and
Yep.
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof with us, and has done a lot of work in film and television and
Right.
all over the place. One of my favorite actresses, Elizabeth Aspinleader, who was in Lion in Winter and
Winter.
is one of the stalwarts at Shakespeare and Company, is going to be in that playing Mary Pickford. And if you're an Elizabeth Aspinleader fan, and there are a lot of them out there, she's not going to act with Shakespeare and Company this year. She's going to direct. So if you want to see her on stage in the region, you need to come to Oldcastle. And another Shakespeare and Company actor, David Joseph, is going to make his Oldcastle debut playing Charles Chaplin, and we're very excited about him. I've seen him on stage. He gave us a sensational audition. Very talented actor.
Good.
So, as I said, I'm very much looking forward to that. I wanted to do it as soon as I read that play.
Now, did you read it before you
I read it.
judged?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And read it not knowing John had written it,
Oh, okay.
because we got the plays with the playwrights' names not
so
on
you
it.
had to read the play before you saw it?
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Kept you busy.
And then they did readings or full productions of 6 plays. This was at the Dayton Playwriting Future Fest, and that's been going on for many years. And they've found a lot of very good plays, and they choose six each year, and then the adjudicators and audiences vote for the winner, and John's play won.
Good enough. Good enough. Now, I know the last show of the season, which has an interesting title, too, one of your favorite playwrights. Maybe you can explain to us why he is, but the name of the show is The Ride Down Mount Morgan. Now, where's Mount Morgan?
It's written by Arthur Miller. Arthur Miller, the 100th anniversary of his birth was late last year, so over the next several months of the 12-month period, a lot of theaters are doing Arthur Miller plays. He is generally considered one of the 3 or 4, if not 1 or 2, greatest American playwrights.
He was married to Marilyn Monroe at one point.
And other people.
Yeah.
Eva Morath. He was married to a very good photographer. And I wanted to do a Miller play. We've done a number of his plays. We've done The Price.
All My Sons.
We've done All My Sons twice.
You did After the
We did
Fall?
the View from the Bridge. We didn't do After the
Where
Fall.
did I see After the
But
Fall?
I love this play. I first saw it many years ago. At Williamstown Theater
Right.
Festival.
They're the ones that did After the Fall.
And it has an interesting trajectory. It was first done in London and wasn't done in the United States until 5 years after that. It's one of his later plays. Was then done at Williamstown with F. Murray Abraham and Michael Learned, among others. And then was done at the Public Theater in New York. And that production moved to Broadway and starred Patrick Stewart.
Okay.
And it's a play about a man who wakes up in hospital after being in an automobile accident and finds out that in the waiting room, waiting for him to come out of the coma, are his 2 wives who do not know about each other. He's a bigamist. And his attitude about it is, I love them both, why can't I have them both? There are moments in it that are very funny. It's very well written. I think it's one of Arthur Miller's best plays. And for the man who wrote Death of a Salesman, that's
Right.
saying something.
It's only the 3 characters?
No.
No, there's more.
No. Nigel Gore is playing the man
Right,
who
you said,
wakes up.
yeah.
One of our favorite actresses who hasn't been back in a while, Katrina Ferguson, is playing one of his
Love
wives. Richard Howe is also in that, playing his attorney, who is in a very deep pickle, a difficult position, because he's the lawyer is a longtime friend of Lyman Felt, who is the character Nigel plays, and a very good friend of his first wife. Can't believe that his friend and longtime client has been a bigamist for several years. He has children by both the women. It's a very interesting, odd, but fascinating situation.
Sounds like a little
And
humor. in it.
there's quite a bit of humor in it. It's surreal a bit in some moments in the play, and I just can't wait to work on it. And Nigel Gore is one of the most supremely talented actors I've ever worked with. He was
He's very good.
magnificent in Lion in Winter. I've seen him do, I recently saw he and Tina Packard do her show Women of Will, and he's just extraordinary in that. I've seen him do a lot of Shakespeare at Shakespeare and Company. He's a magnificent actor, so we're really looking
And
forward
he and
to
Chris
that.
Decker were really good together in
Yes,
Lion of Winter.
they were.
They
And
really worked well.
He first saw Katrina Ferguson when we did A Tale of Two Cities as part of our Dickens threesome, and has wanted to work with her ever since. So he's very excited to work with her. She's very excited to work with him. It's going to be quite a production, I think.
You mentioned trilogy. I noticed that the Norman Conquest, 3 different theaters in the area, are they're each going to take one and
One play.
yeah, huh?
Yeah, it's an
You've
interesting
already
idea.
done all 3.
We
so-
did those. We did one a year for
Yeah,
three
yeah.
3 years.
They were fun.
And they're it's Alan
Very funny.
Akeborn, who's one of our, we've done 9 or
You've
10
done
of his
a lot.
plays.
Yeah.
Very talented
Yeah,
British
very-
writer, and more prolific. He's written more than 80 plays now, which is just
If
an
you saw Bedroom
extraordinary
First,
number.
if you saw Bedroom First, folks,
Willy was
you know,
very
well, the
funny
2
in
times that
Bedroom
we did that
Farce.
show, we had so much
That was for
fun.
a long time our most
Your
successful
highest, I know it.
straight play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And it used to, I mean, I can remember, I probably talked about this before, the first time I read that, I thought, this isn't very funny.
I know.
don't
I
find
kept
this
having
very
to
funny
reassure
at
you. No,
all.
really, Willy, this is very funny.
But it really, and the audience just ate it up. I mean, just ate it up. I mean, there were nights that we had people, we had to have them up in the balcony
Yeah.
at the old place. I
Yeah.
remember, oh my God, it was fun. Well, I think it's going to be a really great season. I thought last season was good, and all these wonderful people who are coming back.
Let me say, for people who are big fans of Richard Howe, he's going to be in 3 or 4 shows this year, including Big River and I think 39 Steps I talked about, Ride Down Mount Morgan. Christine is going to be in Big River, Christine Decker. She's also going to be in City of Conversation.
Okay.
We don't have much of that cast yet. We'll be casting in New York, actually, as they see this month.
Okay.
And that'll take a while, but a number of roles have been cast, and I'm really excited about the actors who are able to come back. We love to find talented people and have them back when we have roles that fit them, and one of the things I'm really proud of is actors love to come back and work here,
I know they do.
despite the fact that there are theaters, a few theaters around who pay a little more than we do.
Yeah. Yeah, they're willing to come back and put up with contaminated water,
Oh,
robberies.
please.
You know, everything that's going on in this town.
This is a great place to live.
I love Bennington. I mean, I live in Pownell, but I feel like, I said it so often, adopted Benningtonian. Now, besides Oldcastle, though, you work with the Career Development Center. You must have a show coming up there, or is that after? Is it before or after this show?
Just about the same, a little later.
Little
later.
later. So what are you
actually,
doing?
Tim Foley and I teach a class called Theater Arts that we have been teaching for decades now. And actually, we're really proud of the show that the students are doing this year. And you're a big part of this because several years ago, Willy loaned me a book called Soda Jerk by a writer named Cynthia Rylant. And it is a series of poems set in the early 80s. A young guy who works as a soda jerk, if you remember soda jerks. And
Yeah.
the kind of drugstores where they
Phil
would have a
Varick
counter and
was
you
a
could
soda
get
jerk.
a Coke and a sandwich and a
For a
dessert,
quarter.
you know, for a quarter.
Yeah.
And our students have taken these poems and written scenes, many of them based on poems, others based on characters or just based on the town. It's a little town called Cheston, and it's now, this has grown and grown. It is now a play with 21 scenes.
You know-
3 of the poems are done. We're trying to get permission from Cynthia Ryland to do this. We're
Oh,
hoping
she's
we
got
do.
you.
But the writing that the students have done is just remarkable. It's the second time we've done a show like this. We've often done one acts that they've written.
Right.
Once before we did a show called Bigger Than Us, which was set in a high school.
Yeah. I
And
remember
the students wrote that. What would happen is 1 or 2 would write a scene, and then we'd talk about it, and other people would throw in ideas and such. So it's grown and grown and grown. And I've been more excited about this than maybe anything we've ever done with our students in all the years. And it's great to see them write something, then they'll act in it. It's really a totally homegrown, original production, and it's
And I gave that
it's
to you a
wonderful.
long time ago.
we've
just
used it many
hoping-
times.
Just
many
hoping
times.
that, oh God, I wish they'd do this book. I just
What-
wish.
what-
It's a
We
book
often
of
use it
poems
as
or-
an exercise in
Ah, it's-
the poems. The poems are written
wonderful.
very much like monologues
Yeah.
in plays.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
No, it's a
so we
wonderful,
use it for
wonderful-
diction and teaching in general.
Right.
And I think we've talked about doing this once before, but this year we actually have.
She's a wonderful
done it.
children's writer.
and very successful.
I think she's
very
still writing
popular.
too. I'm not sure.
She is.
I have met her down in.
Oh, you have?
Well, this conference that Gracie and I used to
Right.
go to all the time. We'd meet
She was
all these
there?
authors and artists or illustrators, and yeah, we
And
got
I think
to meet
this
her
was a
down there. She
different
was
project
wonderful.
for her because she writes
talking
mostly
about this book.
for children, but this is for teenagers
Yeah.
and adults
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm really glad to hear that.
And it's an exciting thing to work on. And as I said, the students have done remarkable work
And
on
you
it.
think that's going to be in April or May or
It's in April.
in April? So,
I
but
wish I could
probably
remember
after
the dates,
But after the
But we're
after
so
the
many
11th.
months away from that at the moment, I can't.
After the 11th, we're not going to. Okay, so we're safe with that one. And now, and also, Chris Decker
I hope.
is direct.
Maybe it was last week. I really can't remember the dates.
You did it last week. You did the show last week.
No, but I mean,
Oh,
when
yeah,
this
because
airs,
of the
it
way
may
we're
have been-
taping.
it may have
Oh,
been
I
the
hope it's
last
not
week.
the week of the.
I
God.
don't.
It
I don't.
can't
I
be
don't
until
remember the date.
It
so
must be
you
the
can-
week before vacation.
I think it's after. I don't
God.
remember.
Folks, I hope to
honestly,
God- I
have a
hope to
lot
God.
of dates in my head. We have all
So-
these. We have all these. Every show we do, I have to remember 3 dates. There's the first rehearsal.
Right.
There's the opening date, and there's the closing date. And we're overlapping shows this year, so we will be in rehearsal for a show while another show is already up and running.
You're talking about Oldcastle.
And
yeah.
yes, so I have lots of dates, and I can't keep them straight.
So you might have already seen this
So
one too,
it's
folks. but
possible. I don't
hope
think
not.
so.
I hope
think
not.
you can still see this.
Now, when
called
is
Soda Jerk.
and Chris Decker, Chris
Dirk?
Chris Decker is directing Glass Menagerie. Do you know that date?
That's
I should have had Chris come too.
12, 13, 14, 15,
Okay,
or
so
11,
we're going to be
12,
on the
13,
11th,
14.
so we should be okay. It'll be the last minute, but you'll have a chance maybe to see that one. So, what is your goal for the next 5 years? I mean, in 5 years, it's going to be 50 years. Hopefully, we're all
He
still
keeps
alive.
saying that, doesn't
Hopefully,
he?
we'll still all
He
be
keeps
here.
saying
I
that.
mean,
that's
well,
my goal.
But do you
to
just
still
to
be
here? But no,
John
do you have a-
Lindsay, when he was mayor of the city of New York, after 2 terms, was asked what his greatest accomplishment was, and he said survival.
Yeah.
And
Well.
I often feel that way with Oldcastle. My goal in the next 5 years, I would like to complete renovations for the building. We've been
That'd be
doing
nice.
this for several years. The Twilight program, which is magnificent, out of Mount Anthony Union High School, has been doing a lot of work, painting and such that we had not been able to finish in the theater, and they've been an extraordinary help. They are great kids, work really hard. I recommend them highly. They've been fantastic. I would like to get the building completed. We still have at least 3 rooms that don't have any heat. I would love to bring heat to those rooms. We need a new roof. I would love to get a new roof
that's
for the
not cheap.
building. None of it is
No.
cheap. We've spent in the neighborhood of $1 million in renovating it thus far. one of the reminds me of one thing I do want to talk about when we get a chance. But
Yeah,
I want to get the building into good shape. I am thinking about and looking toward a time when someone else is heading Oldcastle, and looking for some younger folks who can take that on. I'm not planning to leave in the near future,
right,
but
right.
I am
Well,
thinking about that.
you deserve,
One of
yeah.
the things I most want is to make
Sad.
sure that when I'm not here, the theater continues.
Oh, God.
And that's a great goal, and not necessarily an easy one to
Right,
achieve.
right.
One of the things that's going to help us with all of that is we got a wonderful grant from the Citizens for a Greater Bennington for $25,000
Oh.
for film equipment, and we will be putting
Film series.
together a film festival,
Oh, wonderful.
and we will be showing films mostly during the off season, probably once a week. There will be movies again in downtown Bennington for the first time in
Old-fashioned
decades.
double features?
I
would
don't know.
love to
We would
see a
love
double
to- We would
feature.
love one of the things I'm most looking forward to, and I've already talked to him about this. Our great friend, our dear friend Carlton Carpenter, who had a very
Wonderful
long,
career.
wonderful, marvelous film career, and we're going to show some Carlton Carpenter films, and he's going to talk about them.
Oh, that would be great.
One of the best times I've had. Well, my wife Deborah and I went to Italy last October, November.
Unbelievable
And
photos.
I was sitting in a hotel room on the Amalfi Coast in Italy, flipping the TV around, and we could usually get BBC News and occasionally CNN International, and I'm a news junkie, and I could catch up on that. And every other channel would be either in Italian or occasionally German. And I happened upon an old Hollywood Western with Burt Lancaster and Carlton Carpenter, and it was dubbed in Italian. And I'm there watching and listening to Carp speaking Italian. He also was the narrator of that film. Deborah was taking a shower. I yelled to her, "You got to come out and see this." And she, "What is going? Why do?" And she saw Carlton immediately on the TV and knew why. And we both had a great laugh of
funny.
watching him speak Italian.
That's funny.
But we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, oh, that's wonderful.
that
Well, I
grant.
know that's something you've been wanting to do. Now, that would have to include a screen, too, right? I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
yes,
you have to,
yes.
I don't
We'll
imagine those are
be,
two.
be purchasing a projector and a screen and computers to run it all, and so it's
It'd
very
be nice to have the screen for like when you do
Frost Warnings or,
Frost Warning
or
show.
Bennington Goes to
Bennington
War.
Goes to War, shows like
We're
that.
also,
yeah.
I can also talk about this, I guess. We're planning, Bennington Goes to War is a show that Tony Morrow and I put together. He's a very talented journalist, great career, and it was about Bennington during World War II and the people who served. Willy was part of that show.
So
and
you.
we are hoping to bring it back on Veterans Day this year, because a lot of
That would be
we
wonderful.
brought it back when we first did it. So many people had heard about it and wanted to see it, and I still get stopped in the grocery store and other places.
I do too.
To ask or tell me how much they enjoyed Bennington Goes to War. So it's our plan at the moment to bring it back on Veterans Day.
Yeah.
We've
That'd
been
be great.
doing a series of plays or evenings
Of readings. They've been wonderful.
and we're hoping to get a grant to help us do that. I need to bring actors in from New York sometimes to do that, and we don't have the money to do that for a one-shot kind of thing. But one of the things I'm excited about, we did one about Edgar Allan Poe, we did Frost Warnings shows, and we're working on a show. Jody Shade is putting it together for us about Shirley Jackson. And this is the 100th anniversary of Shirley Jackson's birth, who of course lived in North Bennington. Her husband, Stanley Edgar Hyman,
Right.
taught at Bennington College. She wrote some of the best known, maybe the best known American short story, The
Right,
Lottery,
right.
which originally appeared in the New Yorker in 1947, 48,
Haunting of
something
Hill
like that.
House, yeah.
And she was a very interesting person, had an interesting marriage. He was a fascinating guy, a great critic and teacher. And so I think, and she wrote not only stories and novels a la The Haunting and The Lottery, but she also made a lot of her money writing kind of Irma Bombeck-like pieces for women's magazines.
Right. And she
What
also
they
did
used to
We
call
Capture
women
the
when
Castle, too. which
Family
is
Day and McCall's
Right,
and
all of those.
Red Book, and there were a whole series of those kinds of magazines, and she wrote frequently for them as well as for The New Yorker.
Did you read Shirley?
I did read Shirley.
I mean, I didn't realize, boy, they did. They had quite a relationship. I just finished.
That's a novel, you have to remember. It's not a...
Yeah, that was a novel.
There's
It's a lot of fiction.
There's
Yeah,
a new
it's fiction.
biography about her, which is the second full biography that's been done of her. I haven't read the second one, the new one yet, but I did read the original.
Yeah. That was fiction, and I'm just finishing. I just got a few more pages of a book, All the Stars in the Heavens, a fictionalized account of the love affair between Clark Gable and Loretta Young.
They had a child.
Very interesting.
They had a
yes,
child
they had a
together.
child. Yeah, Judy.
Judy,
But
who
her
was-
name was Gretchen. I didn't know that.
her-
She always wore a retainer.
She
had to
was
take
an
her
actress for a
retainer out all
while.
the time. I always thought I never thought until I saw her later on TV. I think, oh my God, she does. She has sort of, her teeth do stick out a little bit. I never realized that. In the book, it talks about how she, has to take her retainer out every night and everything, or before or whatever. So that, all right, that'll be good. And so Jody's helping you to get that together.
She's putting that together. She, when she got her master's, she did some work on Shirley Jackson's
Oh, okay.
novels, and also knows her work well, and has been doing a lot of research, and is going to Washington because there's one of the universities there has a lot of her work, and so Jody's having a good time with that, and I'm very much looking forward to it. We're hoping it'll be done to do this fall,
Okay.
but what I've told Jody is when it's finished,
When it's finished,
We'll
it's
do it.
finished, right.
Yes.
And so we only got a couple of minutes left here. So if people want to get in touch with Oldcastle, they can always call 447-0564, but they can also find your website. They can go, I just go to oldcastletheatercompany.com or something like that and Google
.org.
it, and it all
or
comes
just
up.
Google
So
Oldcastle Theater.
that's what I do.
you'll
That's
get
the
to it
easiest thing for
very
me.
quickly.
So. Well, I want to thank you for being here. It's always fun to talk to Eric, and a brand new season coming up. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you are too. And it'll be fun to see all these wonderful actors returning.
I hope
to
we can get some of the actors
Oldcastle.
on with you as the season comes
Oh
up.
yeah, I would be nice. You see, that's the trouble. This is like radio, where you've got to plan it ahead of time. They'd have to be here early to. I don't know. I hate it. But anyways, I do the best I can. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And everybody, thank you for watching Your Friends and Neighbors. We'll be back in another show. I don't know exactly who's going to be here, but I'm sure it's going to be fun or interesting, or maybe a little bit of both, or maybe just plain silly.
And
I don't
depending
know.
on when they're watching this, it might be very
Yeah,
soon, or it might be
That's
a
right.
month away,
That's
right?
right. So thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
This time of day, everything's okay. I take a long look around, I have to say, this time of year, it becomes